I'm leading this meeting.
Okay, corporate Christie has
Barbara
arrived.
Christie's here, and the meeting has started. Welcome.
Are you gonna fire me for eating this French fry
I've
on your?
never fired anybody. I've never had to fire anyone, thankfully.
I have been fired for eating breakfast. It was
Oh,
one of my favorite things to be fired for.
well, I'm glad we can repattern that for you now in this meeting where I don't care if you're eating.
Thank God. I'm quite literally eating a child's lunch, which is gluten-free chicken nuggets and French fries. So here we go.
Like a
We're gonna
kid
be talking
cuisine.
about dating.
Yeah, two psychics talk about dating.
Okay, great.
Why am I nervous? I'm like, I'm not going on a date.
You're going tonight. Get fucking prepared. Um, where do we even begin? So, I mean, ultimately, because this is our first episode, backstory, Christy and I are both professionally certified master clairvoyants, psychic surgeons, blah, 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 blah. We got a lot of titles, but we're ultimately just two psychic besties. I don't like it. Two psychic friends who, we have a business together. We started psychic school, and more importantly, we have the best personal relationship. So we thought it would be fun to just kind of demystify some of these things for everyone here.
Yeah, kind of share the things that we see that other people don't often see because we can see energy of like, what do some of these things look like to us when we look at the energy? And relationships is just ripe for content. This is uh
I think I spent a year, the past year. Actually, I do think it's June 2nd. It's the year anniversary since I started dating.
Oh my gosh, I started
Yes,
dating again last summer too. I think this might have been the week that like, remember I was like, I'm joining the dating apps again, and you were like, oh my God,
me too. I was like,
I guess
I'm
I am
doing
too.
it immediately as well. Yeah, I had come off of a 3 month, like intentional, conscious, I'm gonna like unpack all of my codependency. And I was like,
Mm.
I did. So here we are. Just kidding. Still have codependent tendencies.
And I'm totally healed and everything's
I'm
great.
totally healed and well
Yeah,
after
I'm
that three
so.
month period, of course. I don't have any relationship shit. No, no, no. Of course not. So
No.
yeah, it's been a year for us.
Wow.
Holy sh! Are you alive?
I made it.
No
I
one's
made it a year.
pregnant.
No, I'm sorry. Oh God, enter the spirit children.
The spirit babies are like, we tried.
Summon them.
Let's talk about spirit babies.
All right.
I need to button my top for this so they don't get any ideas. I'm gonna button this up to professional level. Okay.
Whoa, that's quite professional.
This is
Is
like
this black tie?
it's
What?
black tie for the baby beings. Okay. So one fun thing about dating is that, when you start dating someone and you think they're really hot, your hormones get involved, and we call it getting lost in the dick sand if you're
Yeah.
straight, which I am, sort of. I'm bisexual, but I don't know why I said I had to be straight like that. That was wild. So essentially,
It's already great.
basically, when you start to interact with someone and things kind of escalate to the physical sense, your hormones start to create high levels of oxytocin, so you bond. There's a lot of bonding that happens, and so this is why a lot of dating people say take it slow, I don't really know slow. I don't I mean slow's fun. I did slow for like a couple years. Didn't love it. Um, but oftentimes from the psychic perspective, what's happening is that there's a lot of baby energy that gets lit up when two people have a certain vibe together or the genetics are cool. The baby spirits are like, let me get in on this ride. And there's been many times psychically when I'm like, don't want to do it tonight. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're doing it. Like the energy that revs up in me. It's like, but he's so hot. Why don't you want to like do that? I'm like, huh. So be vigilant, ladies, because those baby beings really want bodies.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever hooked up with somebody and then the next day you're like, what was that? Why was I attracted to that person? Baby being,
Yeah.
spirit baby. That's what that was. Just
Mhm.
swooped in and kind of took over for a second. My favorite is when you're dating someone or you see some, a friend who's dating someone, and part of the pull is actually the other person's mother or their parents or their family who wants their son or daughter to have babies, but it's mainly like male's parents, and they want you to give him a baby. And then it's like you don't even realize that you're playing out a relationship dynamic that's dictated by your partner's family energy. That's fun. And then you kind of wake up and you're like, do I actually like this person or am I just hooked in by their family?
Christy, you're so psychic. Thank God we're talking about this. I find that it's never really the man that I have karma with anymore. It's always their moms. And I'm like, what did I do to you in the past? But I'm always in these intense energies with the men that I date's mothers. And I'm like, can you all just get out of my space? And the pressure, especially when, I don't know if you notice this when I'm dating, but when a man of mine goes and visits his family, I can feel that energetically because there is always like,
Hmm.
let me check her out. Let me jump into her space. Let me like, I feel a lot of eyes on me. And then I also feel the pressure of every family system has certain agreements that they're operating on. And so when I'm like, I feel the pressure of like, you need to hold this certain kind of family agreement. And oh my God, I've had an arc recently.
Tell us about it.
Oh my God. Where I just, no, I mean, it's been for years now that I tend to attract men who have very Catholic families because I love just playing out this story that like the Catholic Church is still oppressing me.
Right.
You know, it's not really happening now. The Catholic Church is getting chiller. I think they like talk about sex openly. It's great. But I, for some reason, love a Catholicism arc. I don't know why. I've
I
never been raised.
love battling the church.
I love just me against the church.
I
You know,
mean,
I
listen,
don't
we
know what it
love
is.
Jesus.
It's a past life energy that I just seem to love to just, ultimately, if I were to have kids, I probably wouldn't have them come through a lineage that is still so devoted to the Catholicism, but here we are. Anyway, I'm like, I'm modern. I live in the South. Everyone here is so religious. I kind of just have to take that with a grain of salt. And it's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, these Catholic arcs of mine, like it all has to do with the Madonna, the Catholic mother, and around purity, around being a mom.
Hmm.
They're like, they always push back on me. I'm like, please stop. I don't
Yeah.
need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Family energy can really press in on on a partnership and try to like dictate, your role in that partnership. And also like healing agreements around parents wanting, a partner to heal their son, of like, oh, I raised this man, but he still needs some work, so you take it from here. You got it. Like passing the baton, the healing baton. And I mean, I think a lot of women end up in this position of like, taking that baton and feeling like you're in a fix-it situation.
I think it's crucial for anyone watching this, because you're likely a healer or sensitive, to not take on healing projects in your partnerships. Like, ultimately, one of my standards is like, do they have the capacity to meet their own pain and like heal themselves? If not, probably a client. But I agree. I think it's like so many, I've seen it energetically, like so many mothers being like, take him.
Yeah.
Fix this for me. Especially with ex-boyfriends of mine of like, oh my God, thank God you can fix his money situation, or you can fix his like personality disorder. Had one I was dating briefly, it was like 2 days. They're like, you can heal his mental health issues. I was like, no, I can't.
Like unsubscribe.
They were like, wow, thank God, someone to ground him. And I think that's always been the family energy of like, can you just ground him? I'm like, I really can't. So that's fun.
And
But
also I don't want to.
no, I don't.
I think it was surprising when I realized like that takes so much creative energy to have a project like that in a person, whether it's a partner or a friend or a parent of like, think of how much work invisible work that is that's taking away from other work you can be doing on yourself or in your career or in your business or like creatively. We don't realize because that energy is so subtle and it doesn't look like work. It looks like, worrying about the other person or thinking about them or trying to anticipate what they're going to do and how should I talk to them about this issue that we have so that they're able to receive it and then take a step. It's like all this mental and emotional work that is largely invisible, but actually sucks like our energy. And I mean, I literally see it in people when it's like all of their energy is in their partner's space because they're trying to heal them. You can't actually heal someone that way. You heal them by pulling your energy back from them and giving it to yourself and giving them space to deal with what's theirs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women, because of experiences of being a woman on this planet, have used their healing abilities to create safety externally. So, like, if you can just fix the way he talks to you, if you can just heal his money situation, he'll be able to go out there and create a place where you can relax and receive. And ultimately, that never worked for me. And it was really annoying because I was like, okay, like, he has a provider mentality. He's able to do it, blah blah blah, but they really can't sustain it if it's not in their energetic architecture. And yeah, I think that that can be really complicated for women because the relationship breaks down when you like watch this in your relationships. Does the relationship break down when you focus your energy on you? That's a
Hmm.
huge sign that you're doing a lot of healing and you're holding the energetic container for your relationship. And throughout my dating experience, which has been diabolical, hilarious, just fun, like what? Like Christy knows all my stories because she's the first one to hear about them. And I'm like, oh, it's just really interesting to, as a psychic, approach dating because I'm approaching it from a place of like, ultimately, I'm gonna have karma with whoever I'm dating. Like, it's just what's gonna happen. Do we have enough space to work through that karma and enough tools to move through that in an effortless, kind of easy, flowy way? Or is it just pulling me back to outdated, I would say like outdated desires of mine? Like, for a while, when I was struggling financially, I really wanted, like, I would like be like, please bring me a man who's gonna like deal with this, because I wanted to avoid the responsibility it took to have two businesses that I have now. And I was like, a man's gonna solve my problem. And the agreement underneath that unconsciously was like, no, you're gonna solve his problems. You're gonna still be healing. So you're just going to be healing him. It's going to create a lot of resentment. And so dating has been such a fun journey for me. And I love how much happiness I have to just go right in. I had a healing with one of my mentors recently, and I had been all like beating myself up about like, oh, I just can't get it right. And I just keep going into these patterns and and she goes, stop right now. And I was like, okay. She's like, do you understand how brave that is? How brave that is to go and put yourself out there and go and what we call in psychonese, like blow your pictures and mock up like, a trip to hell just to get some of these core beliefs restructured. And I was like, I didn't like it. She was like,
Mm.
no, no one does. But ultimately, sometimes we do have to have that arc where we do mock up seeing ourselves and seeing what we're creating for ourselves and seeing the energy that we're creating through, whether that's like intensity or drama or like whatever addiction, whatever it is, so that we can move it out. And I recently had a pretty strong arc of that.
Yeah, I think what's so powerful about what you're saying, and I've luckily been able to witness it,
From a
is
distance. Like I didn't mock that up. She's gonna do it.
just by live vicariously through this growth period. But when you're in a relationship and you can see and work energy and you come up against that friction that happens with another person and you're like, oh, this is sticky. Why are you bringing up my deepest pain? But then when you have tools to like clear it, move it, get the lesson, and then move on, and you can do that over the course of 1 to 3 months and not be have to be in like a 5 year relationship with somebody in order to learn the lesson. Like that is just so cool to witness and just see somebody go through that, what you were saying, that arc of yeah, getting at some really deep truths and then being able to like kind of graduate from it and get to a deeper level with someone differently suited, we'll say.
Sometimes people don't want to graduate.
Yeah.
I think the point about having psychic tools is not to navigate you towards your true love's embrace. I mean, it is, but like
Hmm.
what I see with a lot of women, a lot of my clients, is the unwillingness to get messy and like go into the terrain of the experience because you can't, the relationship is going to take you where you need to go. And I think a lot of women avoid that because it is scary and painful and revealing and deeply uncomfortable. And I'm so grateful for these tools, like being able to ground, being able to separate, being able to see energy, being able to see karma, having psychic support. Because as a sensitive woman, like, I've mocked myself up some pretty deeply painful things to clear last year and this year. And, I go at them with a lot of amusement, thank God. But without the support, I can really see how it would be really easy to get stuck in what's releasing because if something is like coming up and out of your space, we talked about this morning, like it's ready to go. And like for me, if I'm working in energy with somebody where I'm like ultimately regressing myself back to being like 6 years old, I'm grasping. Like I'm not letting that shit go. I'm like, this is all I have to survive. And so being able to move through that and have support and have like you being able to say hello to it. Something I so value about our relationship, just two clairvoyant girlies, is that in other relationships that I have, there is a lot of judgment. There is a lot of like, this is the right way. And we both come to a place now being psychic and being teachers where it's like, sometimes you got to go into that darkness, girl. You got to go. And you're over here just watching me do it. And I'm just like, yeah, this is interesting. And you've never judged me. And I really appreciate that. because you see the energy and you see what I'm doing, which is like clearing these massive core wounds where everyone else is like, what the hell? Like on the surface, they're like, what is she doing? And then
Why
you're
would you
like,
go there?
why would you
Why
go?
did you walk into the haunted house?
Yeah, why'd you go directly to the core pain? I said, Scorpio.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, this gets at a core difference between us and many other people is that, other people might see someone in pain and think that poor person, I need to save them. But we see people in pain and think that's a really brave spirit. They're learning a really important lesson. They're ambitious, and they're going to get it. It might take longer or shorter, but like, um, yeah, it's like I think we acknowledge for each other that we're each on our own path. We're here to learn different things and like acknowledge the courage that it takes to face those things.
Yeah, wow. I I'm so grateful being psychic. I mean, like
Yeah. I don't think we would be here if we weren't able to trade psychic readings and healings over the course of our dating experience for the past year. I know I would. I'd be still stuck in something from like 8 months ago.
just getting a little bit of a hello sometimes on your dating life helps to move so much energy. It really, really does. I'm trying to think of like an example of I can see the conversation getting serious. So I'm just like, no.
No.
No, thank you. Um, yeah, part of having capacity, right? Which, if we talk about it from like the somatic lens, it's like my nervous system has capacity to go towards things that maybe have activated me or triggered me in the past, right? I can go and then come back to baseline. Having psychic capacity is I have capacity to go towards the karma I need to complete in order to have what I want to have. So like being psychic is cool because you're like, okay, here's my mock-up. I want this partner. For me, it's a man. Is it? And I'm like, here's this thing that I want, right? I want a man. I want him to be eloquent. I want him to have emotional capacity. I want him to be able to move through energy in his own way. I want him to be really fucking hot. I want him to work out, all of these core things. And like these are things I embody. So I'm like, okay, great. I want a match. And then Spirit goes, amazing. Here's the shit that's in your basement that you have not addressed in order to get here. You can't carry the basement. There's mold, there's mildew, there's like your mom's witchcraft. I don't know what's underneath the basement. You can't bring it. And you're not going down the stairs to the basement because you're scared. So we'll bring the basement to you. And then we think it's a punishment. So Spirit brings me the basement. I did not like the basement.
We all know the basement boyfriend.
We know the
We know
basement
him.
boyfriend, and he's really hot,
Yeah.
hot, and he wants you to know he's hot because he wants you to have a baby with him. Anyway, and the basement has come to me and is like, here is your rock bottom here, and here's all the fear that you have, and are you willing to break up with it? Are you willing to say, I don't want to run that through my body anymore? I don't want to run the survival stress. I don't want to run managing for me, like managing addiction. I don't want to do all of these things I had to do in my childhood. And I'm like, oh God, the basement sucks. And I'm over here like romanticizing the basement because, like, you had to when you're a kid, you have to romanticize these things. And I'm over here like, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun here. And so then I'm getting more neutral because I'm like, oh, I kind of like it. And I'm like, oh, the basement's fun. I like fear. And then the fear can move out because you're like, it's not that scary. And then when you come out of the basement, you're like, it's cleaned, it's cleared. And then you just move on.
Yeah.
Like being psychic, I'm like, sometimes I'm forced to go into the basement. I don't want to go, but I go laughing. I have to laugh. I'm like, here it is.
Yeah. And I think the good news is we don't have to stay in those basement relationships. We don't have to marry that person. We can just go there, visit for a time, and then leave, not feel obligated because of, some of these energies that want to keep us, healing them or fixing them or trying to turn them into the perfect partner in order to feel safe, you know. I've done that.
It's like you're trying to make the basement have windows. Just go up the stairs. You're trying to make the basement not musky. It's it's the basement.
Yeah.
And then you have the relationships, okay? You have like the kitchen, you have all of the house. You have the relationships that are the attic, okay? And these are different kind of relationships I've noticed. Wow, I love this metaphor.
Analogy, yeah.
And is it an analogy? That's what it is. Okay. So then I go up the stairs, and the attic relationships are the fucking high consciousness spiritual relationships that are like, leave the planet. I'm everything you've ever wanted. It's just up here. But then it keeps you very small. It's the equal opposite of the basement. And my preference, to be honest, is sometimes the basement because at least they have capacity. But like the top of the attic is this tiny little room with the man with the freaking oracle cards, and he's over here like, I'm gonna change your life. And I'm like, he's like, I'm your divine partner, and I'm
I'm the
over here.
divine masculine.
I'm like, this room is also very small. There's no windows. I'm feeling a poverty vibe. Like, what? You want me to stay here with you? He's like, this feels comfortable here. I'm like, I don't think my relationship belongs in this house. So I'm like, gotta go. So you get to also clear your energy and your limits. So different kinds of relationships. One's the basement, the pain, the old past. One is like clearing your limits in the attic. What about you, Christy? Are there other places of the house that you would describe a relationship being in?
I would bring us back to the relationships that I had that were not even in the house. They were out in outer space and they weren't even with another person. What did I call them? My astral boyfriends. That's
Oh,
right. Who were with me in the astral space.
Christy had
Imaginary,
an imaginary
imaginary
boyfriend for a
partner.
while. Am I allowed to t talk about the journey?
Well,
Tell people what you want them to know.
I would say sometime I went through a phase where I would think I was just so afraid of dating and doing something wrong and being vulnerable with a partner. And I just was still feeling like I need to continue healing myself. But I would imagine being in relationships with other people, real or not real, real people or not real people. And I would just like play out all these scenarios, and all the scenarios were familiar. They were always these loops of like where I need to earn somebody's love. I need to heal them so that they love me. And this is like this loop that I was just stuck in for so long, playing out in my imaginary relationships of earning, yeah, earning love. And it was just a really old program, like energetic program that I was just stuck in of like, this is what partnership looks like. And daydreaming, there's something called maladaptive daydreaming, which I think I really did have at one point, where I was just like really attached to these imaginary relationships to the point where they were like more important than my daily life because they were giving me some type of validation, even though they weren't real. And daydreaming is a psychic ability. You are projecting yourself into another dimensional reality place and working energy. But the problem with them the way that I was doing it, I was caught in this loop of like, you're perpetuating the loop. So you're still running the pattern and you're not breaking out of it. You're not actually moving the energy, you're just looping in it. And I was caught in that loop for a long time and couldn't actually manifest a real partnership because I wasn't able to get out of that loop. And eventually when I started actually moving energy and like looking at what did I actually want? What did healthy love and partnership look like? Then I was finally able to like first revise what was I imagining? Why was I imagining some partnerships that were actually kind of not healthy? And what does a healthy partnership look like? So that was the first step of like switching what I'm imagining to something that was actually reflected what I wanted. And how do I show up in that imaginary relationship differently? And then actually bring it into 3D of like, here's a human man. I'm gonna talk to him. Which might sound like the smallest of steps, but for me it was a big deal because I was went so long not ready to be seen or be heard or yeah, be vulnerable in that way. But then to your point, it like clears the energy for what you really want. And I guess that was kind of the path that I went on, but it certainly got better once I could date people in real life. And it's certainly harder because I'm not in control of that narrative. I'm not putting the words in the other person's mouth for them to tell me. So there's a lot more to anticipate and react to. And that was a hard learning process, but it was more real. And it actually, I think I proved to myself that I could hold my own in partnership and not disappear into another person, which I think was something I was afraid of for a long time. But yeah, I mean, we all go on our own journey. Mine was out there in the astral.
You're like, I wasn't in any level of a
I
house.
wasn't in a house.
I was not here.
Yeah, I was out of my body up
And I
there.
got to like be there with you on that journey. And it was so cool to watch you from like when the beginning we met to you now. And I'm like, look at her. Like,
Yeah.
you like refused to talk to a man.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
loved it. I was like, oh, that's just what she's doing.
I was
I'm
like,
like,
we don't
okay.
talk to them.
You're like, what? And I'm over here like,
You can do
you
it.
can talk to him. And you're
Done.
doing great. So it's like, I think about these things and even in this conversation, me like having this house picture, right? Where I'm like, oh, okay, like I've clearly just been exploring relationships that are in this house limit, which is family energy.
Yeah.
As I'm saying it, I'm like, what is this family energy that I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't get out of the house and I'm over here now,
Yeah.
energetically creating a new house. I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep dealing with these family situations where I just date versions of my parents over and over
Mhm.
again. Um, And ultimately, what that is from like a psychic perspective is like your dad and your mom just being in your energetic space. And I think a lot of people don't speak to that. It's like, okay, I just have to heal from my mom and my dad to be worthy of a relationship. It's like, no, you just move them out of your space. Move them out of your creative space so that you can have what you want and they're not limiting that. Because for me, when it came to dating, I had all of these limits around what was even possible. And what we call them in our psychic training is like stories or pictures, like these literal pictures in my space that are like telling me this is the narrative you want. I remember my mom telling me, like, I saw a shaman, and my mom's very spiritual. So I think I feel very blessed by that because I didn't have the religious programming. It was very open and spiritual, which maybe was worse. Um, there's nothing to fight against there. She was like, well, one of my kids is gonna marry this really, really rich man. And I'm over here like, I have brothers, so I don't know who that is. And she's like, and then one of my kids is gonna have twins. And I'm like, that's like a core picture of mine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like you programmed me.
Hmm.
And that's why, like, when we do our psychic work, we don't tell people what's going to happen to them. That's future casting.
Yeah, that's
Like,
probably the most frustrating thing people feel. And yeah.
and I think that's the trepidation between getting a psychic reading because people haven't experienced one that's grounded, like the way that we do it, where it's like, we're here to work the energy that's present, not to create an idea of what we think your future should be for you, because you ultimately have the authority and you are the creator of your life. Like,
And it changes. Your
it
future changes based on the decisions that you make and what you can have.
exactly. And like when you're doing this work or you like go to a psychic training program like ours, which is coming soon, you end up working so much energy that like sometimes there's a little bit of a delay because you're starting to get more connected to your desire. And so for me, when I went through psychic training, oh my God, I was dating. It was It was wild because we'd be working the energy of like karma, and all of a sudden, all these men would be like, hey, we should get together. We should get together. And I'd be like, ugh. And I remember the man I dated when we did level 3 training for karma, and it was the most chaotic, like past life, like Atlantean, like you did it, it's your fault, like blame, punishment, like everyone matching on the same energy. I'm like, and I was like a little baby psychic at the time, so I'm over here like, I'm dying. Now I'm like, wow, that was perfect. It's like when you start to become grounded in your presence, you realize like the universe is catering to you and is trying to show you the places that you're stuck. So when you hit that resistance in relationship, it can go one of two ways. You can become a perfectionist and be like, I have to fix myself, I have to change myself to get them to stay, or you just kind of like shut down. And I think that ultimately neither of those work. It's more of like you're being shown something, not, I don't really like mirror theory. Like everyone's a mirror to you. I don't know if that's true. What do you think about that? Like everyone is a divine mirror to you. I think I really hate that.
That's interesting. Do you hate it just because it's a cliche, or because you just don't think it's true?
I don't think it's true.
Well, if you operate under the assumption that we're not actually us being separate is an illusion, we're really just part of the whole, then of course everybody's, a reflection of that whole. Um, but sometimes somebody is showing us something and it's not necessarily a mirror of who we are, it's a mirror of something familiar, or sometimes it's like an opposite, it's like an opposite mirror of something. So I think it's showing us something, but it's not always like a reflection. I would say it's not the word mirror, it's like aligned in some way. It's like a magnet.
Right. So we call that a match. In our training, it's like, okay, you can have a match to someone. It doesn't mean they're reflecting to you some horrible part of you. And I think that that's important for female bodies because we are so critical on ourselves. We're already like, okay, well, if I just fix and heal everything on the planet, everything will be perfect and I'll get my dream life. And then we often turn that self-hatred and punishment back on ourselves, especially when it comes to like, well, I attracted this.
Yeah, yeah.
I attracted, like, had I had that context or like had that programming, well, I attracted this. This must be what I'm worthy of. In my past relationship, oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have not made it through that one. So it's more or less like for me, I don't think people are mirroring in perfect, like, that's a weird thing for me. I don't think, because why would I come into a body to individuate? Did I say that right? Individuate?
Individuate, yeah.
Individuate. There we go.
To then encounter more of the same
To then
individual. Yeah.
have everyone mirroring me. They might be mirroring me. Like, for example, some people mirror me things that are not my fucking preference. I'm like, out, not my preference. And so I think a lot of women, like I've coined the phrase leaving power. They don't leave because they think there's some divine fucking lesson in this man mirroring them. But I'm like, the lesson is that's not your preference. Move on. It's like a man who is not mirroring you the darkness that you need to like resolve. He's mirroring it to you so you can just quickly leave and be like, I'm good, thank you. There's nothing more to do, but just let the energy come out. And so I don't really believe in like the mirror concept because I'm like, yes, of course, everything is whole and we're all oneness, blah, blah, blah. And then that's also a way in which we can really take ourselves out of body a little bit too much, where the body has preferences, the body has safety and survival that it needs. The body, it's like unnecessary. So I say people are dirty mirrors. I don't, I'm not going to ever see myself in a reflection of another person. I'm just going to look to my higher self for that validation.
Yeah. I mean, I think we choose our partners. We choose them. And I agree it's a slippery slope to think like, well, there's a lesson in this for me, so I'm going to stay until I learn the lesson or I heal myself or I you know, think my way out of it, analyze it to death until I've learned, what it is that I'm taking. And sometimes it's just like, well, I don't like it here. It's not fun here. It's not fun here anymore. So I'm gonna leave. Like I'm done with this birthday party isn't fun, so I'm leaving.
The
You
kids threw
know?
me in the pool and I didn't like it. I gotta
Yeah.
go. They didn't let me hit the pinata first. I'm the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not doing this. I think that that's important because that spiritual programming of love everyone. I was looking at that in a client space recently. You have to treat others how you want to be treated and the golden rules and all that. And it's like, yes, of course, treating others well. But when you're a healer, you guys cannot have these rules. These rules don't apply to you because you're way too nice in general. Like you gotta, like you need to have boundaries. You need to be like, no, absolutely not. Because that's how these energies kind of hook in. And so sometimes the match is really to show you where you're still allowing harm to yourself. And that's a fun one to look at. And then other relationships are so light and fluffy and amazing, and they like express you like gifts. And I'm not saying from a place that like I'm never gonna find a match that reflects me. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a lot of dirty mirrors out there. Get some fucking Windex, and guess what your Windex is? Clairvoyance. Because if you can literally see the energy, you just Windex off the screen, the stories, the drama, the karma, and then you see through it and you're like, oh my God, that's a literal worm. I don't like that. They're not worms, but like I was gonna say piece of shit.
That's literal garbage.
That's a
Why am
literal
I dating
pile.
garbage?
That's a literal pile of garbage, which isn't even them. It's not their
No.
soul. It's like that's just what they're choosing. They're choosing to sit in they're literally in a dumpster. And I'm like, that's not a mirror to me, but I am trying to fix it. Fascinating. Dating is so much better when you're psychic.
You know what? I think like I run into kind of this paradox caught between that energy of like not trying to fix someone, not trying to fix something that's broken, that's not a good fit, versus like, the leaving power versus the staying power of like when something is good and you are like growing from it and it feels aligned, but it's hard and it forces you to face some deep, pain or limitations in yourself, or it's asking you to take a step into more authenticity or, speaking up for yourself or speaking your needs. Sometimes it's easy to misread that as like, well, there's not space for me here, so I'm gonna leave, as opposed to like, well, this is a growth opportunity. This is asking me to actually be more of myself and be more connected to another person. So sometimes I'm just observant of the nuance between those two of, you know, fighting for your space and your independence and like, everything needs to be perfectly aligned versus like relationships are going to challenge you. You're going to have to face the things that are scary. And hopefully you're with someone who you feel comfortable doing that with and can make it like not so hard, but kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah, I think you're speaking to a through line here around relationships asking us to be vulnerable. And that's quite literally what they do. Because when we live in our own realities, we can create like, I'm the goddess of my universe and da da da. And then we get out into the world and we start realizing, oh my God, we have wounding. And we're all bracing for the impact of somebody's, fingers going into that wound and hurting us. And so for me, I can really feel the difference between having a safe relationship, and not all relationships are going to be perfectly cloudy and comfy, right? A safe relationship and then a relationship that dysregulates me. Two very different things because one relationship, it might be uncomfortable to speak my truth or like do the thing I need to do. Like but it usually after building that trust is well received. In the other kind of dysregulating relationship, um, there's so much activation. There's like the voices are right, like there's just too much. So I think the question is really like, how do I find a relationship where it's safe and centered so that when I get dysregulated, there's grounding there for me so I can move through my growth versus the relationships that spin you out, like
Hmm.
some of the ones I've been in, which are like, I'm like losing my space or like having to yell to be heard or like not being understood. So for me, the whole point of relating is to understand myself and other. And I'm very committed in my relationships to radical vulnerability, deep listening, and like keeping my heart open as possible. And then it's like which environment supports those things and makes me feel like, oh, yes, that was well received. And truly, the whole goal is not to like, tr like being understood by someone is like the ultimate dream, right? For me. But like, I think I've gotten past that where I'm like, I actually don't need you to understand me. I just need to understand
Well, I
myself.
think it's kind of sexy and mysterious to not really understand someone, for
I
them to kind
know.
of stay a little bit like, oh, that's interesting that you like that. Yeah.
Like, you imagine that Christy and I dating these men have to reveal that we have a psychic school.
Oh my
And they're,
gosh.
oh
The
my
amount
God.
of people who actually they don't want to date us, they just want us to teach
They
them
just want us
psychic
to
stuff and
like give
heal
them
them.
fucking healing. It's so fucking like
We should have a questionnaire that people
a
fill out of like,
questionnaire. Do you
how
want to
badly do
healing?
you want to,
How
yeah,
badly are you in body pain? Have you resolved
tell me about
anything?
your mother. Okay,
Tell me
we
about
failed the
her.
test.
Is she in control? Like, what's happening? Because the amount of men, before I clear an energy, it happens every time. This is what I think sparked the conversation about dating today, is like our exes. Every time I take a big step in having more of myself, which ultimately reflects as having more space, having more money, having more visibility, having more power, I am met with some kind of ex-boyfriend like every time. And I'm like, because they get into the womb and your womb is your creative center and it's not a bad thing. We can separate from it. I don't want to create too much charge. There's a lot of charge on I can't have sex with someone because they'll be stuck to me forever. I'm like, that's not true. Cancel that. Take Go to psychic school and take our entry level course and like
Separate from their energy.
separate from the energy and stop. That's not happening. Um, People can only stay in your space if you give them permission to. Anyway, but sometimes there's some deep stuff that you didn't have the psychic tools for, so it, surfaces. And I'll have an ex like recently. Well, every time I'm in a relationship or I start a new relationship, right? And we're like, okay, and you love this part about me. All the men want to lock me down week one. I'm like, this
Yeah,
is a
they're like,
trap.
will you marry me?
This
Will
is a
you
trap.
be my
This
intended?
is, and the men get so annoyed when I say this because I'm just like, you don't understand my experience. I'm like, every man who wants me to heal something for them or give them a baby or like do is like, let's be in a relationship immediately. And you can't see
Mm.
anyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is off. And then why do I do it?
Because
I'm
you're
like,
a Leo and you're
I'm
like,
a
they're
Leo.
just really
I'm like,
smart and they see that
wow,
I'm
wow, I
the
love being
best.
love bombed. I'm like, yeah, this is, you're right. I would lock me down too. And I'm over here like trapped in the prison for like a week. And then I feel the energy. I'm like, this is
And
dumb.
I feel like I'm always the one I'm always really skeptical when somebody likes me too quickly. And it's like, what are you projecting on me? You're projecting, you don't actually like me because you don't know me yet. Well, no,
Literally.
to be that
And
obsessed. So,
I'm like confused by it, but I'm also like, it's been the pattern for me. And I'm like, I don't know, some women have the pattern of like men not
not
wanting to commit to
committing.
them.
Yeah.
That is not my case. I don't know why. They're like, we're getting married. And I'm like, I've been married, so I'm good. So yeah, it's just been a really interesting. arc for me to experience that. I'm like going unconscious because everyone on the video is getting lit up by me saying that. Sorry. They're like, wow, good for you. You get men that are like the basement
How do
to
I,
want to
what's
marry.
the, what class do I have to take to do
What
that?
class? You don't
It's
want
not as much fun
it.
as you think it
It's
is because
not
then you have men like kind of energetically plugging into you
all the
for
time.
your energy. And the next thing you know, you're spending all your time on them and with them and not on the things that you actually want to do. So,
And then it's all overriding your hormones, your body, you gain a lot of weight. Like it's the pattern. I'm like, and but I get out of it quicker now, so that's good. That's how you know a pattern's working. You're like, can I leave this? Yeah. Okay, good. Um, yeah, so I think that anytime what I mean to say to bring this full circle is that like the men who I date lock it down. But the second I'm locked down, all the exes are like energetically like, what do you mean you're not going to heal us anymore?
yeah.
And they
Which is
come and ask
probably
it.
what the person who locked it down is sensing is like, oh, there's all these other men who want a healing from you, so why don't you just be with me and kick them out?
Exactly. So
Everybody's psychic, they just don't know it.
they don't know. And so then I'm like over here like, and I tell them this, everyone I'm with, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. It doesn't happen to me like as often now because like we're cleared. But I also tell the men that I date, I'm like, you know, the second that you commit to me, you are going to experience a wave of energy where your past resurfaces. I just want to be really clear. Happens every fucking time. Every every time. It's like clockwork. And I'm over here like, here's the X, here's the healing. Oh, here we
Mhm.
go. I mean, it's just the most annoying thing I've ever experienced. I'm
Well, I
like,
think a lot of people go through this. I have a friend who just went on a first date, a first date in like a really long time, and she's putting herself out there, and it went really well. And the second she gets home, she gets a text from her situationship from like a few months ago that she's been trying to cut off, and it's like he heard through the telepathic channels that she went on a date and was like, "Oh, I gotta get in before it gets too serious, so I could like keep her attached, keep her hooked in." Like they know that this isn't random that your ex reached out on the same day that you joined a dating app. Those are the psychic channels. And when you're tuned in and tapped into the psychic channels, then you could just be like, oh, he sensed an energetic shift and that's why he's reaching out. I don't need to respond to that. I don't need to take that as a sign that he's in love with me and he regrets, leaving. It's just like a telepath a wave of energy that they
there
sense.
you are. I was looking at some of my future mock-ups that I have, and some of that is going to be really fun. I can't wait. And I was doing a reading the other day, and I was like, oh, so interesting how these X's get all clogged into what you're allowed to have in your next step. Because some of us women have been programmed to let men set our limits for us. And so I was looking at that and I was like clearing all my X's out. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all, you're really in some limits. And I just kind of waved to them. I was like, hi. And they were like, they were like,
We agree.
you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to like travel to Europe. We were supposed to do that together. And I'm like, okay, bye. So they end up, why do I feel like in this shirt I'm like some kind of military leader in a regime? What is this?
That's just a past life coming up. That's not
Just a past life
real.
military picture. And so, oftentimes when you get into some kind of relationship or situationship or whatever the fuck you are all doing out there in the streets, um,
The
all the
streets.
exes resurface, and that's because it's not always a bad thing. It can be really annoying, but like that's because you're being asked to clear those healing agreements and start on a new path. So again, basement comes up, clear that basement out, take a step. But a lot of my exes cannot handle that.
I love what you said about like the limits and like I wonder how many women have the limit they can't see of like with their partner of like, well, you can't earn more money than me. Like that is a really powerful agreement, energetic agreement that you could have in any relationship, but especially in a partnership of like, yeah, start your business, get that promotion, do great at work, but then there's this invisible like, but you don't get to earn more than me. Or if you do, like there's some kind of like energetic contract around what that means. And sometimes we don't realize that we enter into those agreements when we start dating someone. And they can be rewritten, but they're really, really hard to rewrite. And I know a lot of friends and people have expressed to me that that's sometimes the hardest part of a partnership is like when you're a few years into it and you realize you don't like the agreements, like the habits or the dynamic that you set of like who does what and how do we do things and like breaking some of those or evolving them to meet where you are now can be a challenge.
Especially when your partner's committed to being like unconscious. Like when you want to have a conscious agreement. I'm looking at some of the agreements that people who are watching this might have.
Are you reading our audience?
I'm reading the odd. Yeah. I'm reading the odd. Um, One of them that comes up is like the energy of you can never have better sex than this.
Oh my gosh.
We all have a match on that. I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting vibration. No, thank you. Yeah, and a lot of it too is like you can never date someone more attractive than me. You can never have somebody who treats you better than me. There's all these like weird ego limits. And just because, and I'm not saying this to like be like your ex is causing this. I'm saying you have a match to this. So perhaps not you specifically, Christy, but
Hmm.
in let's say in my context, I have an ex and he's plugging into my field and he's like, you can never travel abroad without me, right? I'm also holding the agreement on the other side of being like, you can never travel abroad without me.
100%.
Yeah, you can never be with someone else. So it's like we often want our exes to leave the space, but we don't want to be forgotten. So we end up holding that energy. And it's like really toxic to our systems because it's like, we can blame your ex-boyfriend all you want, but it's like you actually are holding that energy because you don't want to be forgotten. You don't want to take the step. You're the one also lingering in their space. And I think that's the important nuance to this. Is like, okay, your ex-husband, we can clear him out of your space or whatever, your ex-boyfriend. But what part of you is plugged into his space being like, don't forget about me. I'm the only one for you. I'm the best you're ever gonna have. Sometimes like, oh my God, that's what I hear I'm like, well, I'm just the best. And then I'm like, calm down. Your ex is also allowed to take a step in happiness and like don't put a limit on your exes. Let them. I'm really grateful that my marriage ended so consciously because like I really try not to have any unconscious limits and I genuinely want this man to like he's one of the greatest people to find happiness. And yeah, I mean like he can travel abroad if he wants without me. He has. So
Oh, it's great. So any parting messages, any hopeful inspiration for anybody who's out there dating and is like the energy is just so powerful.
get a reading. Yeah, like ultimately, like you don't have to go into it blind. Christy and I created Psychic School and we have a membership. So we do breathwork classes, we do energy tools, we teach you how to separate, we teach you all of these things. And it's at a really accessible, easy pace. It's once a week. So it's like you can start to work the energy and come out of some of this. So I would just highly suggest that. And yeah, start to develop some of these gifts and use them to stop healing everyone else and heal yourself.
Yeah, I think giving to yourself is like the best medicine and the best way to call in a partner who wants to give you everything that you want. You know, we teach people how to love us based on how we love ourselves. So,
Yeah, and what we accept into our lives and what we tolerate and what our standards are. And like the quickest way to manifesting a partnership or even friendship or anyone in your life is having some boundaries around how you care and show up for yourself. Like, do you spend enough time loving yourself? And I don't mean like in these like egregious, like just massive ways of like, well, I did this. Like it's like the small little doses. Like when's the last time you took a bath? Or when's the last time you made yourself dinner? These little ways really start to add up and create this overflow in our space. And I think oftentimes our world creates a picture that self-care has to be grandiose, but it's not. It's quite literally like brushing your hair for a few more strokes than you normally do.
Because it
So
feels good.
because it feels good. So it's like following that is is all you have to do. And if something doesn't feel good, or if you're scared in your relationship, or you're just like, I don't know, just something is off, it's just not working, that's your sign. And some of you will know when you watch this, you're like, fuck me. I remember when my teachers call me on all my shit. And I'm like, I'll be resisting that for another 5 weeks. So that's fine. Anyway, get a reading. You get discounted readings when you join psychic school. So you can come see Christy or I and work it out.
Yeah. Well, can't wait to talk about our next topic, whatever that is. And we'll see you then.
Bye.